Well, why do I start with why you Bill of Rights? Just trying to get the Bill of Rights. Okay, we all know why we're here. That was a great song. I think we should all download that and get the radio stations to play it. I'll keep it really brief because you've heard me speak before and there's some really good speakers here. My opinion is that I live in South Australia. My name is Mark Aldridge, and in South Australia they tried bringing in rubbish law like this as well, and I'd go for a ride with my wife on my Jap cruiser. This happens to look a bit Harley-ish, and I'd get pulled over sometimes 4 or 5 times, which is rubbish, absolute rubbish. And that's what happens when they bring rubbish law in. It starts affecting innocent people. And it's interesting to understand why we don't have a Bill of Rights. See, the blokes that stood in this house behind us many, many years ago tried to determine what the future of our country would be. And they wrote a constitution in 1901. And they implied some rights in that constitution, and it was a fairly good attempt to give us rights and a separation of powers in this country, and those rights were written in very basically because they expected that our common law rights would continue on, and they were a fairly good system. About the only place they failed was our Aboriginal people here, who weren't mentioned originally. In fact, they didn't even get any rights at all, which was just horrific. But shame. So what we basically had, the Constitution gave us a few implied rights. It gave us the implied right of a trial by jury, which we no longer have, and has been watered down by the High Court. We have freedom of religion. That's about the only one that appears to be left. We had freedom from discrimination. Now, you know, the actual document that said no discrimination didn't even give Aboriginals the right to vote. So they buggered up from the day one. We had free trade between the states, fine, and we had an entitlement to vote. And that entitlement to vote, I was in the court last year, 2010, when the Commonwealth government sent in lawyers to actually argue that we didn't have a right to vote. So that's what they think of your rights. You've got none. The common law aspect was really good because trial by jury was brilliant. If you went in and faced, you know, any sort of charges, you had a jury of your peers, and they would find a just finding. There was a bit of justice still in the system, and that's all gone. And these guys don't want you to have rights. And the problem we've got here today is our kids don't know what their rights are. What are our rights? Can the police come onto your property whenever they feel like it? Can they pull you over whenever they feel like it? Are your children safe? I mean, what are our rights? We need a defined set of rights. We need defined rights that the legislators can't touch. Canberra has a Bill of Rights, Victoria has a Bill of Rights, Tassie has a Bill of Rights, but the government can change them whenever they like. Now that's not acceptable. We know it's not acceptable. So what we need to do now is we need to demand a Bill of Rights that protects our children, okay? Because those great people in that other place we were earlier, that sacrificed life and limb for us, they sacrificed for our freedoms, our liberties and our democracy. And these arseholes in the place behind us are taking them away, and that's not good enough. I will keep it short. I forgot to say something in the last place, actually. This is actually interesting. When I wrote my version of the Bill of Rights, or collated it, should I say, I didn't write it, and tried to put something together, I used Nelson Mandela's. And there's a saying by it, when a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. And that was Nelson Mandela. I'll keep it short here. We need a Bill of Rights. We need to protect our children. It's our turn to fight. It's our turn to sacrifice, and that sacrifice is coming to places like this. Our sacrifice is saying, this is bad law, we will not accept it, we will not abide by it. This means that we have to break the law. I don't know if you know that Newman and his government asked the police to break the law, and when the police union over there stood up and said, no, you can't, we don't want to break the law, he said, if you don't, you're sacked. So the person that we should be arresting and putting in jail now for being a criminal bastard is that idiot in Queensland, Campbell Newman. Look, I think we can leave it at that. One interesting thing I'll just tell you. Excuse me, fly. That was nice. All right, we're going to go there. We need a constitution. The constitution needs to be concrete. It needs to be attached to. We need a bill of rights that's attached to our constitution. We need it to be retrospective on bad law. So instead of us coming here every month or every week like we should do to oppose bad law, we need a bill of rights that will actually overcome that and actually tell our judiciary and then tell our morons in this house up behind us that we have rights and you can't take them away. You're actually employed to look after us. And what's really interesting is we vote for these people, right, to protect us, to protect our country. Now, they then turn around and say protection is wrong. So these Australian flags you see around the place are probably made in China, and our fruit and produce is coming from bloody China, and you know, they're selling our land to foreign countries. In fact, they're attacking everything that our forefathers fought for, and it's unacceptable rubbish. And if we have to stand up here today and we have to come here every week and we have to start saying, no, we will not abide by this is rubbish law, and that's our right to do that. And if we don't do that, then our children are going to perish and suffer as a consequence. So it's time to say no. It's time to start arresting the criminals, the real criminals, and that's Campbell Newman's one of them. Thank you.